Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chelsea Fryer, the Artistic Associate at The Realm, and I use she, her pronouns. A few logistics before we chat with the wonderful Noah Diaz, who is the Realm's Page One resident. So you can feel free to submit any questions in the Q&A section and upvote whichever questions that you want to see answered. We will choose some at the end for Noah to answer. Also, some Zoom now offers captions, so feel free to turn them on if needed. And if you incurred any caregiving costs to attend this webinar, we'd be happy to reimburse you for those expenses through our Radical Parent Inclusion Project. In our follow-up email you'll receive tomorrow, there will be a link to submit your reimbursement request. Alrighty, I'd like to share some Playwright Realm values with you. The Realm seeks to be an equitable, inclusive, anti-oppressive, and anti-racist organization. More information on our mission and values is available on our website, which I am linking in the chat. Those values extend to this virtual space. If at any time you feel you experience something that is not in alignment with those values, please feel free to chat me directly or follow up via email. And the email I'll also add to the chat right here. Boop. Alrighty, I'm joining you today from the traditional unceded territories of the Lenape. I offer recognition and respect and acknowledge that colonization is an ongoing process that continues to impact the lives and lands of Native communities. I want to acknowledge that in addition to the physical land that we occupy today, the platforms, technology, and equipment that we are using consumes resources that are based in physical lands and are not universally accessible to all peoples and communities. I'm going to share a link for those who would like to learn more about the spaces we occupy. And I invite you to take a moment to name those spaces in the chat as well. Alrighty, thank you. Now we can head on over to Noah. Hi.
Hi, Chelsea. Long time no see.
Long time no see. I think we're both chilling out in our homes with the AC cranked.
Yeah, you're in New York, right? Isn't it storming?
Yeah.
Is it storming? I think it might be storming here too. I'm not sure.
It is. It's a wild time. There might be some lightning, there might be some thunder, but
ambiance.
Give some ambiance. Okay, so let's do this thing. Let's go for it. First things first. What drew you to theater, and what was your journey into playwriting? Like, how did you get started and all that?
Let's see. I hatched from an egg and or I crawled out from underneath a mossy rock. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I started, I think as most people do, I started out as an actor. It feels like the most accessible way into the form. I started out young. I'm trying to remember, like fourth, fifth grade, somewhere along there, in a community theater production. And I was taken with acting. To this day, I joke that I don't know if I was a good actor, but I wasn't bad. I will say that. Like in hindsight, like with all the experience I've gotten, I'm like, there's some really good actors out there. And maybe I touched greatness once or twice, but I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like.
Do you remember what the production was?
I do. It was Hansel and Gretel. And it was so cute. So like I feel like many years, like throughout middle, high school, college, even to like I kind of worked my way up from like community theater, and then I started doing more and more professional work. And then there was a time, kind of like late high school throughout college, that like it was professional work that was like, I mean, I don't know, I wasn't like making money. I mean, who does? But like I was like, it was paying for college, and it was doing things like that. And so. But how did I? Yes, I guess was a question. How did I get into theater specifically?
How'd you get into theater, and
yeah, I guess
and then maybe how'd you get into playwriting?
So that's like the big pivot. So by the time I was graduating from high school, I'd been doing it for theater. I mean, been doing it for so long. I knew that I did not want to do it. I did not want to study it. I don't know. I felt like very pretentious, and I felt very like. Though I still, as someone who graduated from like a graduate program in theater, but like at the time I was like, it's not a thing you need to learn. You just need to do it, which is not true. Actually, I don't know if it matters. You can. But at the time where I was in my life is I did not want to study it.
Yeah.
So I took a big pivot, and I enrolled in a 6-year program studying special education, communication disorder. There's a third thing, deaf adolescent language acquisition. It was this big long thing, but the long and short of it is that I was studying to become a sign language interpreter. It was like a very intense program, and I loved it a lot. But it was very, very small, very insular. And what I realized was that it was taking up a lot of time and like mental energy. And I was like acting now and then, but like it just, I wasn't able to as much as I wanted to. But I was like missing that, like the grind of it. And so what I found, like just even on like a pure schedule level, writing plays began to feel accessible as things I could do on my own. And I don't know, I feel like, you know, many writers always say that, like, I always knew I was a writer. I don't know if I have a vocabulary for myself, like what that meant, but I did feel it. And so I was just like, I wrote plays. I understood plays. And so I just started writing them. And are you ready for this? This is my villain origin story. This is like the second most significant pivot, which is that I interpreted the Women's March in Omaha, Nebraska. Didn't mean to. I did not sign up to do this. But, God, it was like this Rube Goldberg machination of stuff. Like a few of us students, because our teacher was asked to sign it, like it invited us to go to the Women's March. Many of us were already planning on going, but she was like, if you're going to be there, use this as an opportunity for like practicum. You can like watch me and I can invite you up, and like some of you like in pairs can like try doing it. But through like, I won't even remember exactly how it all shook out. My turn to go up to do it, I ended up having to do by myself, because I think when my classmates had to leave early, I remember. All I remember was up there by myself. And Chelsea, when I tell you, I was so bad. I was so bad. I'm going to flash back now, and I'm like already starting to like sweat thinking about it. But it got to be so bad, and I was doing my best, but it was just not going well. And I realized that the deaf audience members were signing to me, and like cognitively, there's so much happening. And so I'm like trying to like get the information so I can like relay it, but I'm watching them and I'm picking up what they're saying. And they were saying, get off the stage.
No.
I had to walk off the stage, get in my car, drive home. And I was like, it was that moment where I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't, like the embarrassment I felt was like so intense. And it was that spring where I was like, well, I guess I'm applying to grad school. I'm going to write some plays in grad school. And like, it was literally that, because I think the Women's March was 2017. Was that January, February? I don't remember.
I want to say it was February.
So it was like that, but it was my final semester. I graduated undergrad in 2017. Is that semester? I was like, applications are due soon. That's it. And then but anyway, what are we, like 45 minutes into this call, and that's all we've got. Not even.
I'm just struck by the idea and the thought that there is a group of deaf and hard of hearing folks who honestly launched you to your career.
I can't believe it. But you know what? You know, hindsight is 2020. Like, I'm so thankful that I studied that in my undergrad. It has informed so much of the work that I've done. I mean, I'm sure you will. It will probably come up in this chat, but like I write for deaf actors and I write deaf characters, and like so much of what I learned and what I experienced at that time continues to feed what I'm doing in this work. So, and I keep up on my signing, probably not as much as I should, but I love it, and I'm so glad I did it. But no, the universe said, gotcha. Not for you.
Moving you along.
Yeah,
right on along. I mean, we touched on a little bit, but last year you graduated from Yale with an MFA in your playwriting. So how do you think that level of formal education informed your writing and your process?
How did it? I mean, I guess like the shady answer, but the true answer is I don't know if it did, because I think I had a misconception about what an MFA could or would do. I think I thought that I would be taught how to write plays, which is silly and a little myopic, largely because like if you're entering any sort of like formal education, doing the thing, you know, the hope is that you kind of know how to do it. And so like I walked in, and like these were people who were not like, and I guess we did a little bit. We did like the formal like the nuts and bolts of it. But what I feel like I really got out of my time in school was twofold. One, a vocabulary I gained a vocabulary to talk about my own process. I am a specific kind of personality, and particularly in a collaborative environment. I love collaborating, but I felt these impulses when in a room throughout school that I was just like, I felt bound by my own like language deprivation. I was like, ugh, I feel like this is a thing that I want to see on the stage, but I don't know how to say it. And, you know, I struggled with that for like half of my time there. And what I realized was like, I shouldn't be entering and walking into my classes asking, not asking for specific answers, but I needed to, yeah, I don't even know if I have a language right now, but like, it was learning, I had to learn about myself so I knew what kind of person, this is what it is. I needed to figure out who I was as a person so I could know what kind of person I would be in a room, in a rehearsal room, in a theater, one-on-one with my collaborators. And that, I think, is what school taught me. I didn't read that many plays. Is that crazy? I read so much text, but it's only in hindsight. I was like, did I read any plays? I feel like I've never read a play in my life, but I'm sure I did and do. Yeah, it was a good time though. I learned a lot. And you know what too? Learned a lot about design.
Yeah.
I took a lot of classes in that too, that I could have a language and a vocabulary walking in, because I realized if I'm going to be a picky bitch, I need to have the language to back it up, to know what I'm looking for. You know what I mean?
I mean, I will go with the non-shady version of the conversation, which is I'm glad that Yale allowed you the space to become the person that you are and gave you the language and the verbiage to like have these conversations. However, like you are you. And I think the reason why we are all so excited by your work is because of your lived experiences, not because of your MFA. But
that's so nice. That's so nice. Thank you. I mean, that's actually a thing that I like part of your time at school is like you if you wanted to, you could volunteer to like engage with prospective students, like those who are coming to like interview, things like that. And I remember that like just I felt it in my gut. It was like a thing that I always said the most, which was like, if you're coming here because of the name, you're gonna be disappointed. Like, it's not. It's you got to come here because you feel like it's the right school for you, or that like the kind of lived experience you have, the kind of stories that you want to write and tell will be served by this kind of environment. Because there were things like I didn't know about Yale before I went in, which is like we're not totally ensemble driven, but like in many ways we are. So that like I came in being like, can't wait to write for all of the deaf actors in the world. And by kismet, actually, there was one actor who just by chance came in my year that was deaf.
fantastic.
But like I realized that like I will not have the resources to like bring in 15 deaf actors for this piece. That like there are so many constraints that you have to like sign on for and say yes to when you come into a space, and like knowing where you want to study. That's a huge factor that I didn't even consider, and thankfully it lucked out. But that I tell folks who are applying for grad schools is that like you really got to do the research and figure out if like this is a space where you can not just as a person but artistically thrive as well. So yeah, thank you for saying that.
Always, you know how I feel. I love you. But as you know, but perhaps some of the folks who are with us right now or who will watch this on the internet later, last season the Realm co-produced your play Richard, Jane, and Dick and Sally with Baltimore Center Stage. And so what was your inspiration for RJDS, as we like to call it? And what was the writing process like for it?
That play is funny. And I remember writing it so, I can remember it so clearly. So that play, more than anything else, was just like the product of math. Like the boring answer. So I wrote it after I graduated, so the spring of 2017, but before the fall of 2017, because I had just graduated from my undergrad, working frequently with the deaf community. More specifically, a lot of the work I ended up doing by chance was working with like middle schoolers. I seemed to be assigned to a lot of middle schools in which I would like go in and I would like interpret for like half a week at different schools. And what struck me is the kind of almost universal narrative, which is that these students working within mainstream schools, so meaning that they're deaf students in a largely, predominantly hearing, school, they've been mainstreamed, is that they do not have access to language at home. Like these are kids who are profoundly deaf, whose parents elected not to to learn how to sign, who don't engage with much conversation with them outside of like the school environment. And so what I came to realize was that like when I was working in a school, I was often these kids' sole font and outlet for language, period. Like when they went home, no one talked to them and they were left to their own devices. So that was fueling a lot of, I was thinking about that a lot. At that time, my grandmother had passed away, and it was like a very slow death, which is funny, I guess, like funny, like not funny, like haha, but like slow death is such like a weird cyclical process, because you watch yourself and your family process it, and then when it's like it doesn't, like the actual event of it doesn't happen, you're like, you start to like do the cycle over again. It's just like this like you're like distilled in amber for like months at a time, just like, it sounds so sick, but like waiting for someone to die.
Yeah.
And like, do you get at what point do you get out all of your grief? Because inevitably once the event happens, like that's when I think like the big processing starts, but you continue to process it. So that was fueling my thought process. And like I said, I was just about to start school, and this particular play was written for an assignment. I was told that I had to write for 3 male identifying and 3 female identifying bodies. And like, that was kind of it, because it would then in time be populated with some of my cohort of actors.
Yeah.
I had learned that a deaf actor was going to be enrolling in the same year. And so I was like, nice, I can write 1 role for her.
Yeah.
And so like all of those things just coalesced. And I wrote the play over the course of 2 days.
Wow.
I'm a pretty fast writer, but that one more
Yeah.
than anything else was like probably my quickest, but I miss it. I sat on the screen, didn't like the, I guess it's kind of inside, the porch on my childhood home, and I sat on my little tush and wrote out there. And then like it was hot, so like I turned on the AC, and then I like came in on like the final day, and I was like, I guess the next day, and I was like, done. And that was that. I love that play.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard the origin story of RJDS. And it's, I think you said this earlier, it's very kismet in that your lived experience of that moment has produced something that like is just so powerful, and unfortunately was not to be because of COVID-19. However, it was to be in Baltimore. So did you learn anything from the actual process of the production that Baltimore Center Stage did?
Oh, of course. But what?
What were all the things?
Well, that was, I mean, I guess like a boring playwright answer is that I learned the play, I wrote scenes, which is, I'm not used to writing that way, episodically. Like there were like scene breaks, which is weirdly not something that I do too often. And so I was sitting there, I remember early in the process being like, does that work? I don't know. And so like I just kind of rolled with it. And to this day, I still don't know if it entirely does, but I'm a big believer in the play is what it is to some degree. And like just like, well, this play was written episodically that way, and I guess that's how she looks. I learned a lot about how to work with an audience regarding the sad. Like, I did not think this play was as sad as it is. Hand to God, I really didn't. I kind of began to pick it up over the course of like various readings, because like people would just be sobbing, and I'm like, what is their problem? Like you're so inside of it that you don't clock that the kind of emotional metronome that an audience feels. So calibrating that so it's not just a sob fest for like the full 90 minutes or whatever it is. And I don't know. I mean, I love the theater because it is about the communion of people in space, which is why I think the COVID of it all has just been particularly hard, because I need audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Or I need audience, because I think when I think audiences, I think like many people. But I guess you can have audience. I'm self-actualizing this moment. I need in person is maybe guess what I'm saying. I need a tangible in-person audience. But it was a good time. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful. And like we mentioned, unfortunately, COVID-19 struck down what was going to be your off-Broadway premiere. Um, do you have any words about experiencing that? We were all so excited to ramp up RJDS here in New York. Um, how did you handle the pivot of putting it to bed for now? And what are you maybe excited for now that we might be opening up? We are, but
Um, well, it wasn't good.
you're like, I took a vacation. It was great.
It's funny. It's funny. I think a lot about that time, March of 2020. And, not to be so dark about it, but like, I mean, it's a universal thing. We all experienced a massive trauma. And so I am keen, I am aware of the fact that like, this is not a singular experience, like the kind of traumas I feel. I will say though, to be dark, I think what actually served me well was that at that time, so much shit in my life it got like canceled or got like just taken, um, and I think what I mean by that is that like it became such a tidal wave that it somehow became easier to succumb. if I'm being so honest, because I feel like I handled everything really well, but I mean in literally 1 week, I'm trying to remember the order. It was I don't think you guys were first. Oh, it was school. School was canceled.
That's
So
right.
my last semester, the like classes were suspended. Then it was RGDS off Broadway. It was then a show in Chicago that I had also going up in the late spring, early summer. Then it was my thesis production. And then the cherry on top was my graduation. And I think I say all this to say that like I think just from like Monday through like Thursday of like that March week that I'm sure we all have built into our brains, like it was just one after the other. And like after a while, it became overwhelming enough somehow to process. Like I think if it had just been the one, I would feel like not towards you guys in any way, but like I'd feel some kind of bitterness about it, being like, oh, the thing that got away from me. But because it was just one after another, it became I like allowed myself to absorb into it in a way that I don't think I would have otherwise. It became comical after a while, like getting the phone calls like, yep, sounds right. All right, sounds good. Be safe, be sanitized, and like
Yeah.
it just happened. So again, hindsight, always 2020. Um, so many avenues and paths I'm walking now have only opened up because of that time, because
Mm-hmm.
of the kinds of pivots I've had to make in my personal life, in my professional life, that is this weird to say too, that I don't regret anything?
No,
I
no,
don't, I
not at
don't, I
all.
don't regret anything. I don't regret anything. And I don't, maybe this is the healthiest kind of growth I've had. I don't miss anything either.
Yeah.
Like what's meant for you is for you and it will find its way to you. And so I'm just like, I also watched Sex in the City over the pandemic, and there's this line. Have you watched it? Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
when Charlotte and her husband think that they're gonna have a baby, and like
Yes.
the people come, and there's this line later when they realize that they're not gonna get it. Charlotte's husband is like, "It's not our baby," and I think about it a lot, and I'm like, well, you know what? That production wasn't my baby. It wasn't my baby. My baby will come. So, did any of that make any sort of sense? I
All of
hope.
that made complete sense. Well,
Great.
'cause I was about to say, like the when that occurred, that week of March, the artistic community, I think across the entire nation, across the world, was like, "Oh, I'm overwhelmed. This is so much, but this is so much for you too, and it's so much for this person, and for me, and for the other people. We just have to let it be."
And what's especially hard, and really actually, now that you've just said that, so true. I think what I did actually struggle with the most was not like cancellations of like a play or whatever, but it was that like I felt so guilty about the kind of at the time at least, like the kind of sorrows I felt put in relief to the kind of massive global traumas that I didn't like. I allowed myself to enter whose pain is worse, which is such a boring and such a useless and fruitless endeavor,
Yes.
and that like it's just not, it's just at least for me, it's just not worth entertaining. And to allow myself to grieve what I needed to grieve in my own tiny private ways, crying in a hotel in Peru, Illinois one night, like allowing myself these kinds of things, calling my mommy and sobbing. Like, I mean, these are things I allowed myself to do. And that's that on that. And we keep it hustling. You know what I mean?
Hustling. We do. I mean, to make a very hard transition, something a little bit lighter, because we were supposed to do our JDS off Broadway of the 2020 season. You became our page 1 resident.
Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
Do you want to kind of like expound a little bit on what that page 1 residency is and what some of the resources are that you were excited to dive into?
Yeah, you guys basically support me. I mean, that's really, honestly, really the heart of it is you guys commit to me as like artist and artistic home. But I'm trying to think, what am I, health insurance? Hello. A lot of like financial resources, things for like, what's the word I'm looking for? Professional development, some internal readings. There's a beautiful ticket line for like getting theater tickets, which I am, talk about a scam. I'm waiting for like seeing like as things open up because I might
buy them all.
yeah, because my budget line hasn't run out yet, and I'm like, ooh, it's snatching some in person.
I mean, over here in New York, I think that's going to be the first thing on Broadway.
That's right, because they announced that they're opening in August, right?
Yeah,
that's incredible. So yes, being able to have like, it's not, I want to be clear to you, it's not just financial, though, you know, and I think our particular industry, like financial feels so scarce that like, it is a thing that we always point at being like, yes, got some money. But like, it is more than anything else, like artistic home, which is, you know, feels very, very rare. And so, yeah, thankful to be the playwright. Thank you guys.
Oh, we just want to be your hype man.
That's it too. What do you guys do? Hype.
Get it. I love that. Okay. Okay. So next question. At the very beginning of the pandemic, Baltimore Center Stage started the Play at Home initiative. And then through that, the Realm and a bunch of other partner theaters across the country commissioned 10-minute plays that can be downloaded for free from playathome.org. Quick plug. What was the process like for writing that 10-minute play at the very beginning of the pandemic? And knowing that that play was never going to be probably performed in front of an audience, or at least a live audience?
It was great. Wow. I'm even trying to remember when that happened. Was that early pandemic? That's crazy.
Early pandemic. That was when we all thought things would clear up in the summer.
LOL. Nothing to say to that. Wow. I don't remember writing it. Is that crazy? That's fine. Crazy. I
remember listening to it and reading it and thinking, this is absolutely lovely.
Where'd you listen to it?
We had a fundraising event.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that. Oh, because I was there.
It's okay. That was like 12 years ago. What was going on?
Yeah. I remember it. I feeling like it was a nice little mental retreat. I wrote it again very, very quickly. I think I wrote it in like a couple hours. And it was, honestly, I remember there's like nice freedom to it. To your point, like it was never. I didn't have to worry about the kinds of realities. You know, everything can happen on a stage, but like there are like some realities that like will manifest in a production. So I was like, well, don't have to worry about that. It was the first time I think that I had an opportunity to write something, even a short play, in whose possibilities were boundless, and so I could do and kind of did do whatever I wanted. It was like elephant on stage, why not? Go into space, sure.
Do it.
So yeah, it was a great time.
Oh, I love that.
It was a really good time.
Everyone watching this should go to playathome.org and download this play, because I think
there's a lot of really good ones. I mean, there's a lot of really, really good ones. It was a cool project.
It was. Transitioning out of the like obligatory artist in pandemic questions, you have been working on a lot of commissions for theaters, including Baltimore Center Stage and La Jolla Playhouse. So how is the writing process different when you're writing a play that's been commissioned?
Is it much different? Thankfully, to date, aside, is this true? I have one coming up that is like it's kind of specified like what I need to write.
Mm-hmm.
But often I've been very thankful to be working with theaters who kind of let me do my own thing. And so that's been nice. I will say the funny one about Baltimore, in which I don't recommend other playwrights doing, unless you're real brave, is it was a commission that was already programmed.
Oh no.
Um, they commissioned it and they're like, yeah, we'll program it for like the winter slot of next season. So hop to. And what I've learned about myself as a playwright, I'm going to get myself canceled, I'm sure. I struggle to write when someone tells me to write.
Oh, sorry, Stephanie.
I know. They were great though. And I did it.
You did it?
I got it done. But I was just like, because my process is I am such a big believer and people think I make it up or I'm just trying to like, scamming them. And I promise I'm not. I cannot write unless it's time to write. And people are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you know what? It'd be great if I could tell you. I just don't know. And like, I'm such a firm believer that like the words I put down on paper on a Tuesday would not be the same words that I put down at the same time, same like circumstances on a Thursday. And so like whenever the spirit moves me, oh, I'm writing Wednesday, great. And so like the thought, I've never been a playwright who's like, okay, and it is 10 a.m. and I'm gonna write for 4 hours and I just can't do that. And so there's just like kind of like a macro version of this, with like a commission where it's like, okay, so funny. Stephanie knows this and laughs at this. They're like, it was like a year and a half away. And already I was like, oh my God, give me time. And like Chelsea, I literally just told you, I write in like 2 days. And I was just like, how dare you?
Ooh, no, year, half. Ooh, try to
I know.
friends.
And my parents are so funny. They're like such I always keep them abreast of what I'm doing. And like in the funniest, best ways, they're just like, so are you writing today? And I'm like, how dare you? And they're like, isn't it due like tomorrow? And I'm like, I'll get there.
Nudge, quick little nudge.
And they're not even, they're just like curious. They're like, what'd you write? And I'm like, don't attack me. They're like, we're just curious. I know. But yeah, no, it's I did it. I finished it 4 days before we started rehearsals.
I thought you were saying 4 days ago, and I was like,
no. 4 days before we started rehearsals, fully cast, fully designed, unfinished play. So I will not do that again. I don't think I will do a commission that is immediately scheduled for production. But yeah, I think again, like I said, I find myself to be collaborative by nature, and so like the kinds of conversations I have with theaters, they're just like, I'll ask them like, what kinds of things have you longed to see on your stage, or you long to like bring into your house, and I will I love to collaborate that way.
That's so good to know. We'll keep a note of that.
Yes, play we're gonna program.
But quickly transitioning over to the fact that you've started writing for TV a lot.
Yeah.
Started writing TV a lot lately. What is it like to move from playwright for the stage to writer for TV?
The pivot was fast and not of my own doing. I was in the really, really, frankly, kind of beautiful position early March of 2020, in which like the thought of like a life in theater actually felt exclusively in theater, I should say, felt actually kind of possible.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that. And I was so excited to be like a working theater artist. And so like once the pandemic happened, I learned 2 things very quickly, which is that like I missed being creative, and 2, I had to pay bills. And so it was never lack of interest moving to like film and television. But like I said, I just didn't quite need to. And so like once everything kind of started going down, and actually, I'll be honest with you, the onset of a life on Zoom made television a viable and doable possibility. Yeah. And so once I pivoted real quick, and what are the big differences? I mean, I guess this is not a spoiler alert to anyone in the world. Television operates pretty mathematically. Did not know. So much of like the creative is born out of okay, well, we have 4 scenes that need to fit act 5. Well, we can plug in this and this, and it's kind of like it takes a different kind of like creative thinking that it took a second to get used to, but for its own sake is kind of fun. I could never write like a play that way, but like working in television is fine. And 2, this is like the big FYI for people who don't know anything about Hollywood, which is that so many decisions, and particularly creative decisions, depend on conversations around money, which are so neither good or bad, but it's just so interesting to me that like even for example, quite literally, how many scenes you put in act 5 will dictate where the commercial goes. And we have so many commercials that we have to hit because the studio has like, I should say, like advertisers have purchased a specific amount. And so like, even just like on a basic structure level, like money dictates how many scenes we write or where those scenes go. Or like, I'm trying to think, I probably shouldn't even use an example, but I'll say that like writing a scene with a specific kind of tech product had to be very, very key because like our like in-house studio, their advertisers, that's not the tech product they use. So we need to use the other. I mean, it's just so interesting that like this cool, creative, like interesting plot moment born around this like piece of tech has to be radically rethought to accommodate something that is like the big umbrella of it all is just money. I have found a great deal of joy in it because television is a different kind of challenge thinking, and like I said, I wouldn't want to do it always, but like I like the challenge of like, okay, so we can't do that, then let's blah 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 blah, and that's been a lot of fun.
Awesome, that's so amazing. I wouldn't have guessed. I mean, like everything art in itself is like money. It's important. We got to talk about it.
Capitalism, baby.
Yeah, love it. Love me. But like to that minutia, that's so interesting.
It's so interesting. Yeah, wow. It took me by surprise.
Oh my gosh. So what advice maybe would you have for an emerging playwright or just a playwright trying to get into television?
Oh, ask that again.
What advice would you have for a playwright trying to get into television?
I would say, if you can, hold out for the projects that you're interested in. There's like a very, and I felt it myself, there's like a very easy trap that I think one could fall into, which is taking any project or offer that comes your way. And there will always be it all comes back to capitalism, baby. That like, if there may come a time in your life where you're like, okay, I gotta bite the bullet, work on the show because I have a family to feed and I need to do that. But if you can swing it, I promise you the offers for a project that will creatively fulfill you will come your way. There's so many. Also, that's it too. There's no scarcity in television. That is like an interesting myth dispelled for me, that like, yes, like I would be lying if I said that like rooms, for example, can't, like, trying to get one can be competitive. I mean, like, but I think that is true across all artistic industries. But like there is no scarcity of opportunity and work, and like I'm glad I learned early. So find the projects that you think are that you're so interested in, because, and this is no tea or shade either, like sometimes television will not always creatively fulfill you in the way that playwriting may. And so like that you are still committed globally to like a series or a project that you still are interested in and creatively fulfilled by will help those passing moments pass by much more easily,
Yeah. I, no tea, no shade, need to start talking about Joe Exotic.
Sure.
The show that you are writing for with NBC. And I think I personally would be creatively challenged and excited by Joe Exotic. I'm sure
Yeah.
that was a very fun universal moment within pop culture. But you are working on that. Joe Exotic to star Kate McKinnon as Carol Baskin. Can you give us any sneak peeks? Can I get you prepared for your interview with Fallon? And
You're not gonna get me got. No, I'm not sharing anything. The only thing I can probably share is tonally, I don't think it's what people are going to expect, which is like, I think the most thrilling thing. Like, what I can share is, for those familiar with like the Tiger King. So also, I should say too, like, this is also no spoiler or anything. Ours is not based on the series, the documentary series. Okay. Ours is actually born from, before the series was a podcast from Wondery. So like, it's based on a podcast that Carol and Joe and the whole crew, they were interviewed. They were part of it. We had access to tons of Carol's diaries. Like, this is actually what we're drawing from, and not the series itself, the documentary series, I should say. Mm-hmm. And so I will say that like this only like little like hint or spoiler I can give people is that this will feel less Tiger King on Netflix and more I, Tonya. It's like the way I described it is like I, Tonya meets did anyone watch this? Feud, Betty and Joan?
Yes.
Yeah, so very, very those two.
Very, very tension-filled, actually, between Joe and Carol.
It's very much about, like, it's not the events, of course those do factor, the events of like what happened, but more so, I think what our series was examining and really trying to dig into is what are the circumstances and their personal lives, but also like, what was the culture for these people at the time growing up in their adolescence and young adulthood that led them to become the people that we know today. So it's very, very that.
Shut up. Okay, so the dramaturgist in me needs to know the research that went into you writing for Joe Exotic.
We had, and honestly, they're online for anyone to read. We had access. So Carol Baskin is amazing. So she's a notorious journaler, and so she journals a lot, dating back like the late 70s. She like wrote in journals or whatever. She took the time. This woman is impressive. She took the time, took all of them, transcribed them, and put them up available online. And I think it was actually after the documentary series came out, because she was like, you all are not getting me got. I have the proof. I have the thing. This is, and again, it's still from her point of view, but like all of the things dating back. And so like part of it, like for us in the writer's room, we each like took portions of her life. And like, I'm trying to remember, mine was like early 90s, like late 90s. Yeah. I was like, I read all of them and like brought them to like the room every day to like share, like, here is what Carol was doing on this random Tuesday morning in like June of like 1996. And so like we got, that is like the dramaturgy, is like firsthand accounts of like what these people were doing and thinking and feeling. So
oh my gosh, okay,
it's gonna be bananas. It's gonna be great. Tune in, folks. 2022, I think it'll be fun.
We'll have more info as we get dates on when they air,
because I don't know. Not good diet.
Same. Also, very quickly, do you think Carol killed her husband?
Ooh, we talked about it a lot. I think where I came down to, no, I don't think she did.
Okay.
I do think she knows what happened to him.
Oh.
I'm not even saying like I think she knows something. Mm-hmm. I think she has a broader context than the world may let on, but no, I don't think she killed him.
Okay. I'm going down.
Do you? Do you think she did?
To be super honest with you, I don't think she did. I don't know how somebody could. We're just gonna start our own like little podcast called "Did She or Did She Not?"
I know, folks. Okay, this is also gonna be the rest of the day.
Because I just don't think she did. I don't know. Maybe because I just like how she's a cool cat and kitten. I don't know.
Hey, cool cats and kittens. Yeah, I don't think she did. Here's my theory, and I didn't even share this with anyone in the room. I think one of her brothers did it. Because, and this is again, public knowledge.
Yeah.
There was this whole thing about her brothers were cops. One was let go from the force, blah, 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 blah. So I don't think she did it. And I would venture to guess, this is me, my working theory. Personally, I hold no rights or options to anything. I don't think she knows what happens, but I think she has a gut feeling about maybe what might have happened. And she's one of those like, I don't know, I don't want to know. That's what I think. But
It's like,
who knows? Who knows? Yeah. You know what's funny about that whole thing is like those people are still in the news. Like more info comes about them. So like I honestly wouldn't be surprised if like tomorrow there's like this big expose where it like proves like someone else did it or she did it or something. It's a cultural font that just keeps on giving.
Oh, always. I kind of don't want it to end. I don't know. Let me have the fantasy that I actually know the secret that is that one of her brothers did it. That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, okie dokie. So let's move on to maybe some more inspiration talk, some more artistic-y talk. What book or play or show or movie that have you enjoyed that inspires you and makes you a better artist or that you turn to again and again?
Oh, I was so scared of one of these, and I'm pretty sure you sent them. But I read a lot. There's a book I read in 2020 that I still think about pretty frequently called A Children's Bible by Lydia Millay. And it does all of the things that I am interested in doing or trying to do in my own work. So I reread it. I've reread it like 2 or 3 times now. So I turn to that one pretty frequently, more as just like a template for like, this is how metaphor can work in a way that doesn't feel heavy-handed, or wow, we just don't give a shit about exposition. Take it out. And like, it's a pretty great book. I turn to that one pretty frequently. Here's a secret: I don't really watch movies very often. I'm bad about watching movies.
I watch a lot of TV, but I think after the pandemic really started, I was like, ooh, I can't do movies.
Which is so funny because I will binge a 10-episode, hour-long series in one day. But the minute you ask me to sit down for 90 minutes to watch a movie, tapped out. Can't do it.
I just need that quick resolution. I need the quick arcs.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you watch, I was having this conversation with my parents the other day. Do you like to watch things with people? Like, can you watch television or movies with people?
It depends. It depends on what the television show or movie is.
Like what could you not watch with people?
I watched, I'm going to put him on blast. Sorry, Alex. Alex is my partner. We watched The Nevers together, which is HBO.
Oh, yeah.
Joss Whedon TV show. And like the first 2 or 3 episodes, he was like, I don't care. And I was like, I need you to shut up.
Shut up, Alex.
Up. Joss Whedon, so you know that there is some kooky plot points going on. And I have to pay attention or I will miss everything. He has just given us 12 new characters in the last 3 episodes. So
keep up.
Focus. So stuff like that, I like just like plot heavy, or the writers are like going into a lot of lore. I need to really pay attention. But like we can chat if I'm watching Real Housewives of Atlanta.
So interesting. I hate watching things with people.
Everything.
I had like this whole like conversation with my parents about it, because like I think like they were like, oh, we like watch things with you sometimes, and I'm like, I know, it's like fine, it's fine. I don't know what I've always been this way. Like when I was like a kid, like if my extended family would like go to like the movie together, I would like sit by myself in like a separate row away. And I've been thinking about it a lot. I wonder what that says about my psychology. There's just something so intense, I guess is the best word. Like I just need a kind of hyper focus that like, even if like I'm sitting with someone and then like they're not saying anything, but they're even just like breathing, I'm just like, stop I don't know what it is. But I realized the other day too, when I read books, like I wish I could be a person who could like go to like a park and like read books or something.
Yeah.
But I have to like, I need dead silence with earplugs. Like I need to just, it's so, I've been thinking about that a lot. So interesting.
This is not one of the questions that we gave you, but do you get like transformed or transported when you take in like a media form?
What an interesting question. I feel like I'm only transformed when I'm reading books.
Mm,
Because I think they're like the science of it all, like your eye, because your eye is like trained on a specific thing, it allows your brain to blah 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 blah. I think if I had to diagnose what my like beef is with like watching television and films with people, and even so, like there are things I don't mind, but they're so rare. But like I think it's because, and this is pretentious, and I don't mean it to be. I am just diagnosing. I think it's because my brain is like trying to unlock it or fix it or figure it out, and like it
mm.
takes like such cognitive work. Like so, for example, one of my very good friends loathes that I look up spoilers. So like I won't watch an episode of television until I read the recap.
Yeah.
And so, across the board, like I was watching what is it on Amazon? Oh, Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
Which is a book that I read and loved. So I already knew it, but I would like read the recap on like Vulture or something
Yeah.
to like just figure out like what's happening in this particular episode and then watch it. And my friend was like, that is the most annoying thing I've ever heard. And I was like, but I think what I'm trying to do is like, because I have the foreknowledge of what they're doing, I'm able, I think I'm like on a writerly brain to be like, okay. So you put that scene there because it pays off in the act over here. And then I think, and this is all again very pretentious and very like subconscious work I think my brain is doing, but that is what I think I'm doing. Or like because I have that recap, I'll be like, okay, so I know like this big emotional beat is coming up. How am I as an audience leaning into like, oop, and I'm crying. That's how it got me. Like it's things like that I'm just like, I struggle to do if I'm in company with people. And it makes me a nightmare, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm a nightmare to be around.
I mean, when your work is entertainment, then entertainment's work. Let's be real. Let's
Do
be
you
honest.
feel that way when you go see plays?
Absolutely.
Plays are the interesting, like, are you thinking too much when you're watching a play?
I think too much at the beginning. I think a lot during intermissions if they're intermissions. And at the end, if I don't have someone to talk to about structurally things and decisions being made, then like I feel like the event hasn't finished.
Interesting. Maybe that's something because I do agree with you. I think maybe what I need to start doing is thinking of my film and television viewing habits as events. That's right. It's like I like Mayor of Easttown. Did you watch this one?
I did not.
It
I have a like there has to be a cap of how many POCs are in the cast as leading roles before I watch.
two, one of whom dies. So maybe this isn't the one for you.
Great.
Three.
Okay, no, then that's perfect. That's great.
But she only appears in one episode. But that was interesting because it took me by surprise. Like by all accounts, I should not have liked that show, and I was kind of like indifferent to it, like for the first 2 or 3 episodes, and something clicked. I don't know when it happened, but I was like, wow. I am invested in tuning in every single Sunday, looking forward to my Sundays because it was an event. It was the first time I debriefed with my friends and my parents and like we talked about it and like that's I think to your point, yeah, it's like an event and I enjoyed that. So I need to start thinking of my viewing habits that way.
Also, I think it's a very cute, eccentric thing to say is you as an artist is like, I cannot watch with you. I must.
No, it's actually so annoying. If I mean, it's like not even. It's like I wish I could like feel cute about it. It's actually just annoying because people are like, "Great, so we're never inviting you to the movies." Great.
Yeah. They're like, "We'll never go over to watch TV with you." Awesome.
And now they know that like if they do invite me, I'm secretly, and I'm like, "No, I promise, I'm having fun," and they secretly know I'm miserable.
You're
so yeah, it's only shooting myself in the foot. Yeah. So silly.
Well, we have a couple of questions in the chat that I'd like to actually jump into. Michelle asked that she would love or they would love to hear about Noah's experience having a MTC Sloan Commission and your experience as an audible emerging playwright.
Though, so what? Yeah, so interesting that they picked out those two, because those are the two in which I am, two of my commissions that actually did specify or dictated to some degree what needed to end up on the page.
Yeah.
The Sloan one is, I think, the commission that I have that is the most like, okay, this is very much what it needs to be, because it was born out of a pitch. Like I had to pitch to the theater, like what I was going to write. And so mine is about the deaf community. It's like a slightly like absurd thing in which absurd world in which we have commodified the sign language, but in competition with like the cochlear implants and blah 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 blah. I'm only just now kind of beginning to wade my way into it, and what I'm finding, surprisingly, because I am someone who bucks at authority, that like the bumper lanes and like the guides that I've built myself just via the pitch I gave to them is kind of nice. Because if there are moments when I'm like, or start thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I didn't write about deaf people at all? And I'm like, oh, no, you can't though. And so like that's kind of nice. The Audible one, similar, because it's for an audio play. That one, I have no mandate about like what, like thematically, storytelling, anything like that. It just has to be for like the audio format. What's interesting about that is I don't know if I know what the audio format is. Like I'm listening to a lot of audio plays, but I'm just like, what's hard, and Audible's been great about like providing me some examples with some of their pieces. But beyond that, I'll like listen to something and be like, I wish I knew what was actually on the page though. Because I get like very tricky, like it's easy to like use a narrator, but if I don't want to use a narrator, like how do stage directions work, and like in what ways does stage direction function as like character itself, and like what kinds of gifts can I open myself up to by all of this? And I'm just like, what actually is theoretically at the heart of an audio play? And like I'm sure it's like an easy answer, and because it is, it's for the audio, for your ears, but I'm thinking about that, and that's been a fun bumper lanes to find myself in as well.
Yeah. Have you, beyond audio plays, is there any other like audio storytelling that you're listening to, podcasts?
There's a podcast I listen to when I go to the gym called Everything is Alive, which, if you guys don't know, is so good. They're like 30-minute episodes, 40 minutes sometimes, about a man who is interviewing inanimate objects. And they're kind of, I don't know how to describe them. They're so beautiful and funny and like full of sorrow. And like, they're just so, like, one of them's like, the first one, I think, the very first episode is about an off-brand Coca-Cola can. And like, it's this man interviewing this Coca-Cola can about like, so like what, or I should say like the Coca-Cola can like reveals like it is hard to be something that people want, but realize is not really what they want. So they're like, they want Coke, and I am like, whatever. And so like what he gets like these like comedians or like actors to like voice these things, and it's just I butchered this description, but it's so funny. And this will also sound pretentious, but like I listen to them and I'm like, my God, humanity is beautiful. Like I was like when I'm like on an elliptical, just like sobbing. Yeah, it's very good.
Oh, I love a good elliptical sob.
I know, who doesn't?
Strictly where I sob anymore.
They'll think it's sweat.
Working out my abs. Yeah, is it sweat or is it tears? Who knows? I also have another question up here from a lovely person named Sharon, who says,
"Is that my mom?
Yes,
Hi, Mom."
it is. Sharon's here. How much do you spend a month on books? She said,
"You bitch." So here's the thing, folks. I have started making television money, and I am in a very, very, very I'm so thankful. I'm in a very, very good position in my life where I don't have any student loans, and I'm like, the kinds of things I need to spend money on, it's kind of small. And I'm a big reader, so I spend about $100 to $200 a week on books.
A week?
A week.
I was like, well, a month?
It's funny. You can kind of see a little bit. So I have a bookshelf. There's more shelves over here and back over here, but I had to start getting milk crates. You can't really see them.
Oh, I can see the milk crates.
Or like they're kind of stacked up on top of the milk crates here because I'm running out of room. I spend a lot of money on books. And when I know when I have to move, things are going to be a nightmare. But I'm of the rolling suitcase method, which is you put your books in your rolling suitcase so you can roll them. Don't use cardboard boxes, folks. This is what I learned. So thanks, Mom. Put me on blast. I spend a lot on books.
I love it. That's amazing.
Could be buying drugs. So you know what? Why not?
Books are your drugs. Hell
yeah. Yes, Chelsea. Yeah.
To get high on knowledge.
Literature.
What do you? Okay, now I'm just like fully interested. Do you like fiction, nonfiction?
I'm pretty genre agnostic. I will say like what I struggle with the most is like sci-fi and fantasy. Okay. Like those are the two that like I will do now and then. But yeah, a lot of fiction, a lot of memoir. Okay. I would say those are yeah, I mean like nonfiction, it like depends on the things. Like there's a couple of nonfiction books over here. I finally just bought Cast. I'm scared.
Understandable.
Yeah. And I think I saw that there's like a Cast for Dummies book that you can like read with it as I think so. So like maybe I'm thinking of something else, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, I buy my nonfictions when I can.
Oh my God, I love this. I think I need you and Catherine to start a book club. Catherine is a constant reader. She's not reading scripts and she's reading just.
Does she do digital? Does she do like hardcover, like not hardcover, like hard copies?
I think she does digital. I think she's a Kindle gal.
I wish I could. I was talking with someone the other day who said she could get a Kindle, and I'm like, I use an iPad for like work stuff when I have to do like, but like I think I gotta like have the book. I don't know.
I love having the hard copy itself. Like I like having the pages. I like having this experience with something tangible. It's a lot. When you move, it's a lot.
And half of my books are in storage too. I mean, I'm telling you, it's bad news. It's bad news. I'm gonna be.
Oh my God, I love this. I love this. You can start your own library one day. You'll be like 82 and you'll be like, everyone come get my books. Okay, also friends who are watching, feel free to continue to add questions into the Q&A. We will get them when we can. But a question for you is, what is your artistic process like? How do you start a new piece of work?
How do I start a new piece of work? You know, it's silly, but it is true. I do not start until I have a title.
Really?
Title first. Title always first. And then tethered to that is an opening image. And that's really kind of all I need. I'm very much of the I will find my way method. And I do actually think that this is most interestingly the actor in me from back in the day, because well, one, I think maybe this is useful to know, but like I think all playwrights should take an acting class at some point. Like there's something about having dramatic structure, having all of the bits and bolts of it put inside your body that is so telling and so indicative. And so in many ways, like title, and then opening image, and then after that I just like act my way through it. How
do you generate a title?
No clue. Couldn't tell you.
No clue. Yeah,
they just happen. Funnily enough, the Dick and Jane one is the one time when I did not go title first, and that's the title I hate the most, because this is a little insider info that was never meant to be the title. It was only supposed to be two of the names, and also I can never remember it. It's Richard and Jane and Dick and Sally is the four, but I put them all together like that. And what I was doing initially, which was like Richard and Dick, Jane and Sally, Richard and Sally, and I was like just doing combinations, but I accidentally sent the draft when all four were on there, and I got fucking stuck.
Whoops.
Literally, whoops. Because I thought just calling it Dick and Jane, Richard and Jane, fun with Richard and Jane, like I was doing all these things. This was never meant to be those four, and I got stuck. And so that's lesson learned for me. Never, always do what I do. Title first.
Title first. Purse first.
Purse first.
Title first. I love that. That's wonderful and so exciting and a bit wild. I'm such a person that's like, oh, the title's generated by the work that you've created.
No, no, no. No.
Okay.
I have to
Right.
find the work that best. I have to make sure the title works. I have to make sure like all the words I say uphold and support that title. That's it.
I love it. You kind of give yourself a frame a bit and you're like,
Oh
I need
yeah.
to go back to, okay, I like that. That's awesome. That's so cool. Is there anything else exciting coming up that you want to talk about?
I mean, not really. I mean, uh, I'll have a show opening in Baltimore soon. I'm figuring out more how that happens. You can find me in the television landscape for a while, I guess. Oh my God, I'll tell you a secret.
Yee!
A new creative endeavor that I'm only telling you because in this like semi-public platform, because it's accountability. I've started, because if I say it here to like the handful of people who are with us, but I guess it's live on YouTube, but I don't know who's going to watch that. Like, I have started writing a short story collection and I'm so scared, but I'm enjoying it. And I think it's going to be pretty good. So even if I do nothing with it, it's something I've always longed to do. I've always wanted to do that. So I'm doing it. I started it in the pandemic and I'm going to make it happen. So
This is
nothing for any of you to read yet, but just, I love that.
fine.
Can you read anything? No, but you can know.
Yeah, that's what it was like. I want you to read anything, please. So wait, is it based off of life experiences or completely fiction? Or a little bit
Fiction.
of both?
Fiction.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I'll keep in touch with you about this. I'll be like, did you do it?
And then I'll be like, no, bitch. I don't remember that. I don't remember ever saying that. I promise nothing.
I got receipts.
I know you did. That's why I said it out loud.
There.
I know. It'll happen. It'll happen. I'm busy right now, but I'm committed to making it happen.
Oh my God, yes. Wait, I think we need to connect you with CQ, who's also, she wrote a novel. It's being published. I need to check with her about this.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I want you to connect.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Playwrights being other types of writers is the name of the game.
We said theater. Who's she?
I don't remember.
She's done. She's out of here. I love that. At the Playwrights room. What are you doing? TV and short stories. Plays? What? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, but we'll all be there with bells and whistles on for Baltimore Center Stage. It'll be fantastic. I cannot wait. It'll be the first time that I've actually been there because I was like, oh, I don't need to go down to see RJ Diaz.
Gotcha. It'll be good. It'll be a really, really good time. This is one I'm very, very, very proud of. It's a play I think I am most proud of. It's beautiful. Am I allowed to say that? I think I am.
You were totally
it's beautiful. It's literally beautiful. I don't. It's so funny. I'm proud of it. Is this my 2021 energy? Just hyping up my own work?
Yes.
So embarrassing, but I do believe it.
Don't.
I'm very proud of this play. Yeah.
Be your own hype man. Be your own DJ Khaled. Nobody else.
My Playwrights Realm fellowship is coming to an end. I got to be my own hype man now.
Not true. I think
you guys will be around.
Catherine always says we're like the mafia. You can't get rid of us.
No, yeah.
We'll make you swim with the fishes if you leave us.
Go.
Go. No, this was a delight. I want to give time and space for anybody who wants to add a question in the chat, in the Q&A portion, while Noah and I just stare longingly at each other. But if everyone's good and everyone got their questions answered, Noah, this was a treat.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is such an absolute pleasure. We'll have this recording until the end of times. And when we find out that Carol Baskin's brothers are the ones that killed her husband, we have record that you were correct. And that
Knew
you
it.
were first.
Knew it.
My dear.
Well, just so big fan of you. Love you. Thank you so much.
Love you. We're always a huge fan of yours. Everyone, thank you for joining us.